So the bee incident. There is a streamer called Preach Gaming. I don't know if any of you have watched his YouTube stuff or his Twitch stuff, but he's pretty big in the World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV kind of area in general. Preach Gaming, big guy. He has worked with Path of Exile, he's worked with World of Warcraft, he's met and interviewed a load of famous people. He's a big deal. Yeah, he's a nice guy. He cares a lot about gaming. He's found a lot of success making content over the years, and he has a convention called PreachCon that he hosts every year. Now, I was at the Timeless Gaming Convention in Manchester on Wednesday, and I got a message from Preach saying, "Hey Josh, we're actually holding PreachCon on the same day. Do you want to be a secret guest? You know, don't announce it to anyone, just turn up, it'd be really good fun." And I'm like, hell yeah, that sounds fantastic, let's do it, secret guest all the way. So on Wednesday, I went to the Timeless Gaming Con, I did my presentation, did my thing, did all the hosting, and then halfway through, I jumped in a taxi and managed to flee 20 minutes in a taxi to PreachCon. We did this little kind of skit where it was a quiz, it was very fun, and then on the next day, Thursday, I decided to spend all day at PreachCon. Met a load of people, hung out with a load of you, it was super good fun. Now, Preach, a couple of, I want to say months ago now, he dressed up in a bee costume, and this is a picture of him in the bee costume. You know, because there's a Final Fantasy XIV boss, Honeybee Lovely, and someone said, "Hey, Preach, dress up in the bee costume." He bought a bee costume, he put it on, he streamed in it, he's done some interviews in it. Fair enough. You know, he's a good guy. He's a good lad. He's happy to have a laugh. You know, one thing I will say about Preach is he will always, and this is a real sign of professionalism, he will always make himself the butt of the joke. He will never take the piss out of his guests. He will never use his guests or his friends or anyone on the show or any kind of special introduction. He will never make fun at their expense. He will create a funny situation where he is the one being laughed at, which is lovely. So, I heard that on Thursday there was a cosplay competition at his little PreachCon event. And I walked up to him and I'm like, "Mike, do you have the bee costume with you?" And he's like, yeah, it's just over there." "Why?" I said, "Don't worry about it. It's fine." Cosplay contest started, and I kind of pulled a couple of guys aside. I'm like, "Yo, I'm not going to enter, but I am going to walk on stage at the end. Once everyone else has shown their costumes off, I'm just going to walk on stage as a little thing, little treat for Mike." And yeah, then we got that. As I found his exact bee costume fit me quite well. And I walked on stage to a round of applause, copied his little pose, and as you can see, the gym is starting to pay dividends. The gym is starting to pay off. We're getting a couple of guns. We're getting the gains going on there. This is not the end game, don't you worry. We're going to get way more jacked. That's the plan. We're doing it naturally. We're sticking with the eggs. We're sticking with the protein powder. We're sticking with, working out, eating healthy, eating clean, doing what I can. But that's the start. That is the bee incident. And then I left stage, got changed again. So when someone says to you, "Hey, what's the bee incident?" Now you know that's the bee incident. The gym journey has just begun, guys. It's just begun. Long way to go. We're going to get the gains. Any tips on traveling abroad? 30 years old, never left the country, heading to Turkey for 10 days. That is fantastic. I will tell you one of my favorite old sayings. Travel is the antithesis of bigotry, without a doubt. The more you travel, the more you realize. I was actually having a chat with a really nice Uber driver while I was... The journey from Timeless to PreachCon, really interesting. One of my Uber drivers was a guy from Somalia. And his dad owns a farm. And I said, "Hey man, what's the goal? What's the dream?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I want to return to the farm, want to run it, I want to be able to be involved with that, being outside all day, working on that kind of stuff." And it was a really interesting conversation about this guy's kind of lifestyle and his values and who he wants to be and what he wants to do. And that kind of reinforced to me that the more you travel around, whether it's to different countries, different places, you realize the vast amount of people just want to live their life, have a good life for them, a good life for their family. They want to have some good food, some nice clothes. They want to have a fair and safe time. That's what it is. I know that the news in general likes to spread a massive amount of negativity because that's what gets the views, that's what gets the clicks. And people have said, oh, the world's more dangerous than it's ever been. Statistically, there are arguments both for and against that. But in general, you know, taking the whole normal argument, the more people you meet from different countries, different walks of life, the more you realize most people, their problems are very similar. And their desires and their care and their love for anyone else, very similar. There's that line in Game of Thrones, you know, most people don't care about the affairs of the king. They pray for a good harvest and a decent winter. So when you travel around, sometimes you expect other cultures to be vastly different. And what you understand is that while the art is different, while the music is different, while the weather might be different, the food might be different, these are all... When I say superficial, I don't mean they don't have value. I mean that they're very kind of surface level. They're superficial differences between many cultures, but the human experience and the desires of a lot of people, remarkably similar. So I would say when you travel, don't expect to be absolutely blown away by a different lifestyle. There's a thing in Japan called Paris syndrome, I believe. And that's when a lot of Japanese tourists go to Paris and they kind of expect this beautiful, amazing city. And they realize that actually it's just a pretty normal European city with some kind of Parisian architecture within it. So don't expect to be fully blown away. Meet the people, talk to them, be nice, be respectful. That's pretty much it, really. Traveling for 2.5 years. The cultural differences will dictate what's considered good. Oh, very much so. Very much so. I mean, some people think that a good life is where you've got an absolute ton of money. Other people think a good life is where you have family close by that you can chat to and hang out with. Some people think a good life is where you are heavily respected in your industry. Now, what is considered good does, of course, culturally change, but I think most people are nowhere near as angry and violent as the general news would have you believe.